Hello everyone, you are welcome to Thank you so much for stopping by. Hello everyone, you are welcome to S.M.A.R.T. Today we are going to be discussing the power of setting SMART goals. Okay, now first of all, the life that you desire is just a few goals away. Like if you can just set some goals and see to it that you actually achieve those goals, it is very easy to get the life that you desire. Now, what are SMART goals? It's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay, so these are very important when it comes to setting SMART goals. If you're able to have these 5 things attached to your goal when you're setting your goal, it's actually very, very easy to reach those goals, and the life that you desire is a possibility. So we're going to break it down first, okay? Specific. When you're writing a goal, don't make it vague. Like as simple as it can be, the better it is for us. Now, I'm going to be using reading as what we will use as our example. So using reading, let's assume we want to set SMART goals for 2023 concerning reading. So we'd like to read 10 books in 2023. That is very specific. However, as specific as the idea of 10 books is, what kind of books do I want to read? Why do I want to read them? What am I trying to improve? What am I trying to change? Honestly, the more specific, the better. The clearer it is, the better. You cannot be too clear with this. Narrow it down to the simplest thing that can be done to see to it that this reading goal of 10 books is achieved. So that is S. M is measurable. It's already very simple. You want to read 10 books in 2023, you've already measured it. That means that once you have read 10 books, you know that you've won, or you know that you've achieved this particular goal. Create a measure to it. Make sure that you want 10, and it's also easy for you to now break it down. When you say, okay, so I want to read 10 books. If you said I just wanted to read books, how do you know how many you want to read? You might end up just reading 1 in the year. But if you say it's 10 you want to read specifically, we're presently in February. That means that you have 11 months to read 10 books. So all you just have to do is share maybe 1 month, 1 book, 1 month, 1 book. By the end of December or by the end of November, you're done with your 10 books and your goal has been achieved. So that is measurable. A is achievable. Achievable is, this is actually more dependent on us. What kind of life do we have? 10 books might feel like it's not too much for someone who doesn't have a lot on their plate. But for someone that has a lot on their plate, 10 books might not actually be a very good idea. If you're going to school, maybe you're doing a master's program, or you're in school. You know, if you're going to school, you have a family that you're taking care of and you're working, it's harder to achieve a 10 book a year goal. You get. Do not say because you know somebody on social media said that she read 100 books in a year. You want to do it. Can you do it? It's not. If it's not achievable, the possibility of you want, because the issue is that what you're trying to avoid is you giving up on the goal before it even becomes a thing, because you've written it amiss. You get. So for every goal you write, please do not forget that it needs to be achievable. Take a good look, a 360 in your life. Can this even fit in? You get. Then that doesn't mean you should cancel the entire goal of reading. It just means that you should decide how many books you should read. So we go back to the measurable part. Okay. So R, that is relevance. Relevance again has a lot to do with our life. In specific, I had asked, we should ask ourselves why we want to read these books. What are we trying to achieve? Do we want to get better with money? Do we want to get better with relationships? Do we want to get better with work, or want to do beauty more? Or do we want to communicate better? Do we want to talk better? So if this is when you decide what the goal is, how does it actually affect your life? What you're trying to do, if it's this book that is your goal, what you're trying to do should be relevant to your life. Back to the idea of it being specific. Ask yourself, why do you want to read this book? Because if it's not relevant, the possibility of you letting it go is higher. So what we want to do is we want a book that it actually, some of us, it has to trigger us. We have to be interested enough in it. Some of us are reading books because we have children and want to learn how to raise those kids. That's a relevant enough reason. Do you understand? Don't do it. Don't be doing things because others did. Don't be copying. Let's not do that, okay? So that's R. And the last, definitely not the least, is time bound. That is T. Now, it's easy to know when you've succeeded when there's a time to it. Just like the measurable points. If your measure is 10 books, if you've read 10 books, you've succeeded. Same thing with time. If you say by the end of 2023, I must have read these 10 books. If by the end of 2023, you've read 10 books, you've won. You know that you've won this particular part in your life and you feel good about yourself. But if you say, I just want to read 10 books and it doesn't really matter when. If you read 10 books from now to 2025, have you not tried? You've tried, but there's no time to it. Is it a goal now? You just let it open and just let it go. You get. So create a time around it. That way you're driven to want to achieve it, and it's easy for you to measure. Remember M? It's easy for you to measure if you've actually achieved the goal or not. And then it's easy for you to go back to, like, going back to the drawing board to see, okay, so what did I do wrong? What didn't work? What can I do better? Honestly, this time-bound one is very, very helpful when it comes to money. It has helped me personally when it comes to money. This time-bound one, like you want to make this amount of money at this time, and there's time to it. It's extremely helpful. The real power of SMART goals is that it helps us to be very clear of what we want, and it makes achieving a goal much easier. It helps us to zero in on what really matters. You get, when you're specific about why you want to read a book, you realize that you're not in a hurry to just read it because it was raining. You read it because it makes you laugh. Making you laugh is a good enough reason to read a book. I read it because if I read this, I know I'm going to be much better with my money. That's a wonderful reason to read a book. You get. So the clearer it is, the better. So I'll give a point of note. We'll give a point of note. Thank you so much for staying this long, by the way. Subscribe if you haven't, please. And the point of note is that is the little bits of consistent things that you do that will give you the life that you desire. Okay? The little things, it's not this big massive thing that you do. It's not this massive thing that just lands bash, Those things are good, but if you do tiny things, the possibility of the big things coming is very high. That's number one. And then number two, when you do those small things, you're growing yourself, you're creating habits, and you're more grateful for the things that you're able to achieve. And then, more importantly, you are able to achieve those goals and you're able to get the life that you desire. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye now.